The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Think about that for a second. The quieter you become, the more they hear. Not your voice, not your words, but their own thoughts, their own doubts, their own fears. Silence isn't just absence, my friends. Silence is the mirror they never wanted to look into. It's the unanswered question that keeps echoing in their mind long after you've gone. And today, I want to show you how your silence, stretched over days and weeks, doesn't just make them miss you, it rewires their mind. It flips the entire script they thought they were writing. You're not just disappearing, you're setting off an emotional chain reaction inside their head that they can't escape. But before we get into it, go ahead and hit that like button. Smash that subscribe so you never miss these deep dives into human psychology, Stoicism, and how to take back your power without playing games. We're building strength here, mental, emotional, and spiritual. If that's what you're about, stay with me. All right, folks, imagine this. Picture a massive old bell tower standing silent in a forgotten town square. No one pays it any attention when life is noisy. People walk by, distracted, caught up in their world. But the moment the town falls silent, that bell, even the slightest breeze that nudges it, becomes the loudest sound for miles. That's what your silence does to them. While you were there, always texting, always available, they didn't notice. You were background noise, but the moment you disappear, every tiny reminder of you becomes a deafening echo in their mind. That is the power of walking away in silence. Most people have been fed the biggest lie in relationships, that the louder you scream your worth, the more they'll value you. That if you keep proving, keep chasing, keep showing up, you'll win their attention. Wrong. Dead wrong. The truth? Scarcity creates value. Silence creates curiosity. And when you vanish, you flip their world upside down. You force them to sit with the void where your presence used to be. And trust me, that void gets loud real fast. Here's what they think when you first pull away. They think they've got you, that you'll come back, that you're playing some temporary game. But that's just their ego talking, folks. That's just them clinging to the illusion of control. Because the human brain, it's addicted to patterns. And when you break that pattern, when you stop showing up, stop feeding the cycle, they start to spiral. It's like pulling the thread on a sweater. At first, nothing happens. But the longer you leave it alone, the more it unravels. And here's the kicker, my friends. Silence doesn't just make them miss you. It makes them question themselves. Was I wrong about you? Did I misread the situation? Were they not as important to you as they thought? That doubt starts creeping in, and it grows like weeds in the cracks of their confidence. They try to act unbothered. They post the stories, the cryptic quotes, maybe even a selfie with that half-forced smile. But behind it, that silence is roaring in their mind. So, stay with me here. We're about to break this down day by day. I'll show you exactly how your silence rewires their mind, how it turns curiosity into anxiety, ego into fear, and indifference into obsession. This isn't about games. This is about reclaiming your power by doing the one thing they never expected, walking away quietly and letting their thoughts do the chasing. Remember, write this in the comments. I am the silence. Own that. Show yourself. Show the world. Say it loud. I am the silence. And if you're ready to learn how to let that silence work for you, stick around, folks. Like, subscribe, and let's dive into this together. Day 1. The illusion of control. They think they've got you figured out. You only realize the value of the sun when the darkness sets in. Let that one sink in. Because day 1, The very first moment you go silent, they don't feel that darkness yet. They still feel the warmth of your presence, even though you're gone. They believe they've got you figured out, that you'll be back sooner or later, like clockwork. That this silence, it's temporary. It's a little game you're playing. But folks, this isn't a game. This is the first step in flipping the entire script they've written about you. Imagine a candle burning in broad daylight. No one notices its glow because the sun outshines it. That was you. Always there, always available. Your light hidden behind the noise of their world. But the moment the sun sets, the moment you disappear, that same candle becomes the only source of light. But on day one, they don't feel that yet. They don't even notice the flicker of absence. They're too busy basking in the illusion that they still hold the upper hand. And here's the first lie that needs to be broken. They believe silence means indifference. That if you've gone quiet, you're either playing hard to get or too weak to maintain the distance. That's what their ego tells them. That's what keeps them comfortable. But comfort is a dangerous thing, my friends. Comfort keeps people asleep while the ground shifts beneath their feet. Right now, their mind isn't racing yet. It whispers to them, they'll be back. They always are. They check their phone without urgency. They might even welcome the space, especially if they were used to you always being there. You know how it goes. I'll talk to them later. They're probably just busy. But beneath that confidence, beneath that nonchalance, there's a seed you've planted by pulling away. It hasn't sprouted yet, but it's there, waiting for the right moment to crack open. They might tell themselves stories. I've still got them. They wouldn't really walk away. They need me more than I need them. But here's the truth they haven't faced yet. The more they believe they have control, the more your silence will blindside them. Because silence isn't about withdrawal, it's about rewiring the power dynamic. Let's ask the hard questions they don't want to ask themselves. What if you don't come back? What if this isn't a game? What if you've truly stepped back to protect your peace, your energy, your self-worth? But on day one, their ego won't let those questions surface. Not yet. They think they've seen this movie before. They think they know how it ends. But let me tell you, folks, this isn't that movie. This is dark stoicism in motion. This is where you hold your ground, where you refuse to play by their script. And believe me, that's not easy. Because this is where your mind will start to wander too. You'll feel the urge to check if they've noticed. You'll want to peek to see if your silence is working. But remember, day one is about discipline. It's about resisting that urge to break the silence before the silence breaks them. You're not doing this to hurt them. You're doing this to expose the truth, to see who they really are when the noise fades, to see if they value you or just the attention you gave. And that takes courage. That takes emotional strength most people never develop. But you're not most people, are you? This first day is about setting the tone. It's about planting that seed in their mind while you remain steady, silent, grounded. You've shifted the balance without saying a word. You've started the process of rewiring their expectations, even if they don't feel it yet. So here's your affirmation for today. I hold the power in silence. Write it down in the comments right now. I hold the power in silence. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you're not afraid to be the candle in the dark, that you know the value of your presence, and you're no longer giving it away for free. Stay with me, my friends, because this is just the beginning. The silence hasn't shaken them yet, but oh, it will. We're going to walk through every stage, every crack in their confidence. And by the end, you'll understand why your silence is the storm they never saw coming. Day 2, the first ripple. They still think you'll break first. Silence is one of the hardest arguments to refute. Day 2, my friends, is like standing at the edge of a cliff, peering down into the unknown. But they don't feel that drop yet. No, on day 2, they're still leaning on the old belief system, still holding on to the comforting lie that you'll break first, that you'll cave in, that your silence is temporary, just a little phase. But here's the truth they don't see coming. Your silence is the earthquake that's already cracking their foundation. They just haven't felt the ground shift beneath their feet yet. Not fully. See, people are predictable when they feel safe. They thrive on patterns. And if you were always there, texting, calling, showing up when they needed a little ego boost, that became their pattern. You became the safety net. But here's what I want you to imagine. Think of a spider web stretched tight between two branches. When everything is still, that web seems sturdy, strong, untouchable. But the moment a breeze hits it, the whole thing shudders. That's day 2. You're that breeze. The disturbance is subtle, almost invisible, but it's there. They feel it, not as panic yet, but as a tiny nagging thought. Why haven't they texted me? Are they just busy, or are they pulling away? Should I say something first? No. They'll text me soon. These are the whispers starting to creep in. Their ego still keeps them calm, convincing them they're in control. But deep down, that spider web is vibrating. The pattern is breaking, my friends. And here's where most people, you included, can get tempted to fold. You might feel that urge rise up. Maybe I should just check their story. Maybe I should let them know I'm still here, just a little message. But no, because this is where the lie must be broken. The lie that says they need constant reassurance to keep you. You're not a comfort blanket. You're the storm they never prepared for. They won't admit it, but they're testing the waters already. They're scrolling through their messages, noticing the gap where your name used to pop up. They're watching to see if you show up online. But they won't reach out. No, their pride won't let them. They're still banking on the belief that you'll fold first, that you need them more than they need you. But here's the raw truth. Silence is already doing the work. Silence is that slow drip that wears away the stone. And while they sit there telling themselves they've got the upper hand, that drip is getting louder in their mind. Let me ask you, folks, what happens when something you expected doesn't happen? At first you brush it off, but then it happens again and again, and suddenly you're not so sure anymore. That's day 2. The expectations they built around you are starting to shake, not enough to crumble, but enough for doubt to take root. You're becoming unpredictable. And unpredictability, that's where the human mind starts to spiral. When you were predictable, they had you boxed in. But now, you're outside that box. You're the unknown variable. And that, my friends, is power. So here's your affirmation for day 2. I am the unpredictable force. Write it down in the comments right now. I am the unpredictable force. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that your power lies not in chasing, but in standing still when the world expects you to move. Stay with me, folks. The disturbance has only begun. By day 3, that disturbance becomes discomfort. They'll start questioning more than just your silence. They'll start questioning themselves. Stick around, because this ride is only getting darker, deeper, and stronger. Day 3. The discomfort sets in. Why haven't they reacted yet? The greatest battles are fought within the silent chambers of your own soul. David O. McKay. Welcome to day 3, my friends, the day when silence starts to feel heavy. It's no longer just an absence, it's becoming a presence in itself. A presence they can't explain, can't ignore, and sure as hell can't control. Up until now, they've been comfortable, convinced they had you pegged, convinced that your silence was temporary. Just a little phase, a small rebellion. Maybe you were busy. Maybe you were waiting for them to make the first move. But today, that story's beginning to unravel. Think of it like this. Imagine a room filled with ticking clocks, all perfectly in sync, all ticking away steadily. That's the rhythm they were used to with you. Predictable, comforting, steady. But suddenly, one clock stops ticking. Just one. And it throws off the entire rhythm. You wouldn't think they'd notice it right away, but their mind does. Subconsciously, they feel that missing tick, the silence between the beats. That's you, the clock that stopped. And now they're feeling that space. It's not panic yet, but it's discomfort. It's the sense that something's not quite right, and it gnaws at the back of their mind. Here's where the first real mental battle begins for them. They start asking questions they don't want to ask. They start hearing whispers they'd rather ignore. Why haven't they said anything? Are they really pulling away? Are they with someone else? But their ego steps in like a bodyguard trying to shield them. Nah, they'll reach out soon. I've still got this. But here's the lie that's about to shatter. The lie that their silence holds the power. It doesn't. Because you've flipped the script. You've taken back the pen and started writing a story they didn't expect. And now, every moment you stay silent, they're forced to sit with themselves. They're forced to replay the last conversations, the last looks, the last messages, trying to decode where things went sideways. But the answer isn't in those memories. The answer is in the silence. See, day 3 is where the rewiring starts to show. This is where curiosity begins turning into discomfort. They might even start testing the waters now, posting something on social media, maybe a song lyric with a hidden meaning, a selfie with a half smile. They won't admit it's for you, but you know it is. It's bait, my friends. They're casting a line, hoping you'll bite. But here's the thing about bait. It only works if you're hungry, and you're not hungry for their attention anymore. You've got bigger battles to fight. The battle to hold your silence while their mind starts unraveling. Now, let's flip the mirror back to you, because this is where the test gets real. Day 3 isn't just hard on them, it's hard on you. You feel the pull to check their story, to see if they're reacting to your silence. Maybe you catch yourself thinking, maybe I should say something just to remind them I'm still here. But here's the truth that will set you free. The second you break your silence, you lose all the power you've built. The second you react, you validate their control over your emotions. Don't break, don't bend. Your silence is doing more than any text or call ever could. It's making them sit in the space where your energy used to be. It's forcing them to confront their own assumptions. And that, my friends, is the hardest battle of all. Let me hit you with another metaphor. Think of a plant growing in the cracks of a sidewalk. Every day, unnoticed, it pushes through a little more, breaking the stone beneath it. Your silence is that plant. Slowly, steadily, breaking through their defenses, cracking the cement they thought was solid. And here's the uncomfortable truth. They won't show you the crack yet. They'll pretend they're fine. Maybe they post more. Maybe they act unbothered. But the discomfort is setting in, and the longer you hold your ground, the deeper those cracks will run. So, let's mark this moment with strength. Drop this in the comments right now. I hold the line. Say it loud. Say it proud. I hold the line. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you are unshakable, that your silence isn't weakness. It's the strongest voice in the room. Stay with me, folks, because day 4 and 5, that's when the cracks start turning into gaps. That's when they stop feeling in control and start realizing they've lost the rhythm. Stick around, because this ride's about to get even more intense. Day 4 to 5. The cracks spread. Why aren't they chasing me? Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. Unknown. And here we are, my friends, day 4 and 5, where silence starts screaming, where the cracks you planted with your absence start spreading wider across their mind like fractures in glass. Up until now, they were holding on, barely. Their ego was still running the show, feeding them stories like, they'll text soon. They always do. It's just a matter of time. But time has a funny way of turning lies into uncomfortable truths, doesn't it? See, day 4 is where the real emotional dissonance kicks in. They're not just wondering where you went, they're wondering why you haven't come back yet. And that why is dangerous, my friends. That why starts digging at their pride, because they thought they had you figured out. They thought you'd crack by now, that you'd slip up and send that little message, maybe like their post, or react to one of their stories. But you haven't. Not a word, not a glance, nothing but silence. And that silence, it's louder than any words you could have said. Think of it like a dam. For the first few days, the pressure behind it builds slowly, but the structure holds. But by day 4, those cracks you created are letting water seep through, and now they feel it. The pressure, the discomfort, the growing need for confirmation, and they don't like it. Oh no, they hate it, because the truth is starting to set in. You're not playing the game they expected. You're not following the script. They might start checking their phone more now, picking it up without even realizing it, just to see if your name has popped up. They might tell themselves, I'm just checking something else, but deep down, they're waiting on you, waiting for that little hit of validation that tells them they still matter to you, that they're still in control. And here's the twist. They'll never admit that. Not to themselves, not to their friends. They'll play it cool, post a little more on social media, maybe even something cryptic, something designed to make you wonder. Let me remind them what they're missing. That's what they're thinking. They might post that selfie, drop that quote about self-love or moving on, but it's bait, pure bait, a line cast into the silence, hoping you'll bite. But remember this, you're not here to take the bait. You're not a fish flopping around for their attention. You are the ocean, vast, deep, unbothered. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried ignoring a song stuck in your head? The more you try to push it away, the louder it seems to get. That's you in their mind right now. They're trying to ignore you, trying to convince themselves they don't care. But every moment of your silence is like that song stuck on repeat. The absence of your words is louder than any conversation they've had with you. And while they sit in that discomfort, you hold the line. But let's not lie to ourselves here. This is the hard part for you too. By day 4 or 5, your own mind starts whispering. Should I check their story? Should I send just a small message? Just to remind them I'm here. But listen, my friends, that's your old programming talking. That's the need for validation rising up. And you've come too far to fold now. Your silence is the discipline that sets you free. Remember, they need this space more than you do. They need this silence to realize what they had, what they lost, what they took for granted. Because as long as you're giving them attention, you're giving them control. But the moment you take that attention away, that's when the rewiring begins. That's when they start to see your value without your presence. So let's carve this into stone today. Write this in the comments. I am the ocean. Say it loud, say it proud. I am the ocean. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you are vast, deep, and unbothered. That your silence isn't weakness, it's strength in its purest form. Stay with me, folks, because by day 6 and 7, that's when the pressure hits breaking point. That's when they'll start feeling something they never expected. Fear. Fear that you're actually gone. Stick around, because the storm is just starting to rage. Day 6 to 7. The fear creeps in. Did I just lose them? The things you own end up owning you. But what happens when the thing they thought they owned starts slipping through their fingers? When what they assumed would always be there, always available, suddenly vanishes into silence. Welcome to day 6 and 7, my friends, the days where fear creeps in. Not loud, not obvious, but like a shadow that follows them, even when they pretend not to notice. See, up until now, they've been in denial. Their ego's been the loudest voice in the room. They'll text me. They always do. They're just trying to get my attention. But ego has a short shelf life. And by day 6, that shelf is starting to crumble. Doubt creeps in, not as a thought, but as a feeling, a twist in the gut, an itch they can't scratch, because now they're not just wondering where you went, they're questioning if you're ever coming back. Let me hit you with this metaphor. Imagine holding sand in your hand. At first, you feel like you've got it all under control. It's there, solid in your grip. But the tighter you squeeze, the more it slips out through your fingers. And when you open your hand, there's almost nothing left. That's them right now. The tighter they try to hold on to the belief that they've got you, the more your silence proves otherwise. And that makes them panic. They start feeling the cracks now. Those fractures you planted days ago, they're spreading. By days 6 and 7, they're checking their phone constantly. They won't admit it, but every ping, every buzz, every notification, they're hoping it's you. And when it's not, that twist in the gut tightens. Here's the thing. They expected you to crack by now, to give in, to send that, "Hey, just checking in" text. But you didn't. You've held your ground. You've stayed the storm in silence. And now? They're starting to fear that maybe, just maybe, this isn't a game. Maybe you're not coming back. That fear, that's what rewires their mind. Did I just lose them? Were they really that serious about walking away? Did I push them too far? Those questions swirl in their head like a storm they can't escape. And this is where they start projecting. They might post more online. They might share that song about heartbreak, that quote about self-growth. But here's the truth behind it. They're not over you. They're talking to themselves, trying to convince themselves they don't care. But if they didn't care, they wouldn't be thinking about you at all, would they? Let's be real, though. This is tough on you, too. By day 6 or 7, you might feel the urge stronger than ever. That little voice inside whispers, just check in, see if they've noticed, see if they miss you. But listen here, my friends, that voice is your weakness speaking. That's the voice that keeps people stuck in toxic cycles, always chasing, always proving. But you're breaking that cycle. You are reclaiming your power, not by doing more, but by doing nothing, by holding your ground, by letting the silence do what no words could ever do, reveal the truth. The lie they've believed for so long, that they own your attention, that they control the narrative, that lie is breaking. And the beautiful thing about silence, it forces them to do all the work, to confront their assumptions, to battle their own mind. Because here's a hard truth. They weren't expecting to feel this way. They thought they'd move on, that you'd cave first. But now, They feel that fear rising, fear that maybe, just maybe, they underestimated you, fear that they lost something valuable without realizing it. So let's anchor this moment with power. Drop this in the comments. I am the one they fear losing. Write it. Claim it. I am the one they fear losing. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you are no longer the one chasing. You are the one they're chasing in their mind. Stay with me, folks, because day 8 through 10, that's when fear turns into something even more dangerous. That's when they start imagining the worst. Stick around, because this storm isn't calming down anytime soon. Day 8 to 10, the spiral. Are they gone for good? Sometimes the hardest part isn't letting go. It's realizing you've been holding on to nothing. And this, my friends, is where it gets real. Welcome to day 8 through 10, the days where the fear they've been shoving down, the fear they've been drowning in denial, finally breaks through the surface. This isn't just discomfort anymore. This isn't just a passing thought that they can shake off. No, this is the spiral, the slow, sinking realization that maybe you're not coming back. Up until now, they've been clinging to the old script, the one that says they'll cave, they always do. But that script, you burned it, you rewrote the story, and now they're left without a plotline, no direction, no certainty, just a gnawing void where your presence used to be. That's the thing about silence. It doesn't just remove you from their life, it forces them to fill in the blanks. And let me tell you something, folks. The human mind is terrible at sitting in the unknown. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a forest at night. You hear a rustle in the bushes. You don't know what it is. You can't see it. But your mind starts filling in the blanks. It could be a rabbit. It could be the wind. But it could also be something worse. That's them right now, standing in the dark, hearing the rustle of your silence. And the longer they stand there, the darker their thoughts get. Are they with someone else? Did I mean anything to them? Was I just a temporary thing? That's the spiral. That's where their mind starts playing tricks on them. And guess what? You haven't done a thing. You haven't texted. You haven't liked a post. You haven't even acknowledged their existence. But your absence, it's working overtime. Their own imagination is doing all the heavy lifting now. They might try to distract themselves, throw themselves into work, friends, hobbies, anything to silence that nagging voice. But nothing works, because silence isn't something you can outrun. It follows them. In the quiet moments before bed, in the gaps between conversations, in that empty space where your message used to light up their phone. And here's what makes day 8 through 10 so brutal for them. They don't just fear losing you, they fear being replaced. That's the real monster hiding in the dark. Replacement. The thought that someone else is now in the space they used to occupy. That someone else has your attention, your interest, your time. And that thought, it drives them mad. They might start over-analyzing everything now, scrolling back through old messages, replaying past conversations, looking for signs. Did I miss something? Were they pulling away before this? And every time they search for answers, they only dig deeper into that spiral, because the silence gives them nothing, no closure, no reassurance, just space. And in that space, their fears grow louder. But here's where you need to hold steady. This is the point where your own doubts might surface. You might wonder, is this working? Should I break the silence just to test the waters? Don't, because this is the breaking point. This is where most people fold, right when the other person is finally feeling the weight of their choices, right when the silence is doing its best work. This is when most give in. But not you. You're different. You're disciplined. You understand that real strength isn't in chasing, it's in standing still, letting the storm rage in their mind while you remain unshaken. Remember this, they expected you to play the role they wrote for you, but you didn't. You flipped the script, you burned the script, and now they're lost without it. This is the power of dark Stoicism, letting silence expose the truth without lifting a finger. So let's mark this moment with clarity. Drop this in the comments right now. I am irreplaceable. Say it loud, say it proud. I am irreplaceable. Show yourself, show the world around you that you know your worth, and you don't chase anyone who questions it. Stay with me, folks, because day 11 through 14, that's when regret starts to set in. That's when they stop blaming you and start blaming themselves. Stick around, because the spiral, it's just getting tighter. Days 11 to 14, the regret begins. Did I push them away? We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. By the time day 11 rolls around, reality starts biting. But not your reality, theirs. The one they tried to keep safe and untouched. The one where they told themselves, you'd come back, you always do. But here's the thing, my friends, the longer the silence stretches, the harder their imagination works against them. And day 11 to 14, that's when regret comes knocking. Let me paint the picture for you. Imagine a house of cards, tall, delicate, standing proud. One little breeze, one small disruption, and that whole thing topples. Their confidence was that house of cards, built on assumptions, built on the belief that you needed them more than they needed you, that you would fold, that you would bend, that you would eventually break your silence. But your silence became the breeze. And now, that house of cards, it's falling apart. This is where the shift happens. The blame starts turning inward. Those questions they've been shoving away, they start getting louder. Did I push them away? Did I take them for granted? And for the first time, they feel vulnerable. Because up until now, they believed they had the upper hand. But now, the silence is flipping that script. They're not in control anymore. They're not the one being chased. They're the one doing the chasing, but only in their mind. You haven't said a word. You haven't liked a post, sent a text, or made a move. But in their mind, you've become larger than life. That's the beauty of absence. It magnifies presence. It stretches across the moments where you used to exist, filling those gaps with questions they can't answer. They might start reaching out indirectly now. Maybe they send a meme, something harmless. Maybe they reply to an old story. Just a little nudge, hoping you'll break the silence. But here's the truth behind that nudge. It's not about reconnecting. It's about relief. They need to know you're still there. They need to know they haven't lost you. But you're smarter than that. You know that if you bite now, you reset the clock. You tell them they still have power over you. And let's not forget the mind games they'll play with themselves. They'll convince themselves, I don't care that much. They'll tell their friends, I was over them anyway. But late at night, when the world is quiet and the notifications have stopped, that's when the silence screams the loudest. Here's a metaphor to hit this home. Imagine standing on a cliff, throwing a stone into the sea. You expect to hear it hit the water, to see the ripple, to get confirmation that it landed somewhere. But there's nothing. Just silence. Just empty space. That's what your silence feels like to them right now. They threw out their words, their actions, thinking they'd always get a reaction from you. But this time, there's nothing. And that nothing? It's terrifying. But I know what you're thinking. This is hard on you too. You're human. You feel that pull, that urge to respond, to check in, to break the tension. But let me tell you, my friends, discipline isn't about doing what feels easy. It's about doing what's necessary. And right now, holding the line is necessary. You're teaching them a lesson they didn't know they needed, that you won't chase, you won't beg, you won't shrink to fit into the box they tried to keep you in. You are rewriting the narrative, not with words, but with silence. And that's power most people never tap into. This is where the regret takes root, where they start to realize maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they pushed too hard, took too much, assumed too quickly. Their ego is cracking, and what's left underneath is fear. Fear that they lost someone irreplaceable. So let's cement this moment with power. Drop this in the comments right now. I am worth the regret. Write it. Own it. I am worth the regret. Show yourself, show the world around you that you know your value, and you're not afraid to let others feel the loss of it. Stay with me, folks, because day 15 through 17, that's when the cracks they've been ignoring start collapsing in on themselves. That's when the urge to reach out becomes unbearable. Stick around, because the chase is about to begin. Days 15 to 17, the urge to reach out. I can't take this silence anymore. The quieter you become, the more they hear their own thoughts. Here we are, folks, day 15 through 17, the days where the silence becomes too loud to ignore. This is no longer about curiosity. This isn't about ego games. This question mark, this is about survival. Their mind is screaming, their pride is cracking, and the urge to reach out becomes unbearable. They can't take it anymore. They can't stand the sound of their own thoughts echoing in the space where your voice used to be. See, up until now, they could distract themselves. They could throw up that wall of pride, post on social media, pretend like they were unbothered. But that was just noise to cover the truth. And silence. Silence strips away the noise. Silence forces them to sit in the raw, uncomfortable space of uncertainty. And here's the brutal truth about human nature. We can handle a lot of things. But uncertainty, it's the itch we can't scratch, the question we can't answer. And that question is eating them alive right now. Where did you go? Why haven't you reached out? Did I push them away for good? That storm they've been trying to outrun? It's caught up with them. Your silence is the eye of that storm, and now they're desperate for shelter. They need a sign, a signal, a flicker of hope that you're still there, that they haven't lost you completely. But here's where the game flips. They don't know how to reach out without losing face. Pride is a tricky thing. It keeps people locked in patterns that don't serve them. They want to break the silence, but they don't want to seem weak. So they get creative. They might drop a vague text, something meaningless, something casual. Hey, just saw something that reminded me of you. Or maybe they'll comment on an old post, just enough to catch your attention without looking like they care too much. But here's what's really happening behind those little moves. They're craving relief. They're hoping you'll take the bait, that you'll reply, that you'll give them back the control they're losing. But you know better now. You know that if you give in here, you're telling them that their comfort is more important than your power. Let me hit you with a metaphor. Imagine you're on a long, grueling hike. You've come so far, your legs are burning. Your mind is screaming for you to stop, to turn back. But just over that next hill, the view that makes it all worth it, that's you right now. You've held the line for 15 days. You've resisted the urge to reach out. And now, you're almost at the top. Don't stop here. Don't let a moment of weakness erase weeks of discipline, because they're feeling the pressure now. The cracks are turning into fractures, and they can't hold back much longer. Their pride is a dam that's about to burst. And when it does, that's when they'll reach out for real. Not with vague texts or half-hearted comments, but with raw emotion, with questions they can't answer on their own. Are you okay? Where did you go? Can we talk? That's coming, but only if you hold the line. And let's not lie, this is where it gets hard for you too. You feel the pull. The silence is loud in your own mind. You wonder if they're thinking about you, if this is even working. But remember, my friends, this isn't about them. This is about you reclaiming your power, about teaching yourself that you don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. You've broken the pattern, you've flipped the script, and now they're dancing to your rhythm, even if they don't know it yet. So let's carve this moment into stone. Drop this in the comments right now. I hold the line. Say it loud, say it proud. I hold the line. Show yourself, show the world around you that you're not just playing this game, you're mastering it. That your silence isn't weakness, it's the loudest message you'll ever send.